Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Russ Riesinger. Tonight, the number of new COVID-19 infections nationwide is nearly double what it was just 2 weeks ago, now nearing 2.7 million. The stunning surge in coronavirus cases just days before the biggest summer holiday, and that's forcing some states to close bars, beaches, and businesses, reimposing restrictions. Well, nationwide, public health officials say they fear the holiday weekend could be a dangerous turning point. They're urging people to stay home. CBS's Carter Evans has more.
This is what California's governor wants to end. He's ordered 70% of the state to close bars and ban indoor dining for at least the next 3 weeks.
We were able to bend the curve in the state of California. We're going to bend this curve again.
With new COVID cases in California spiking 72% in just the last 2 weeks, the situation is catastrophic in places like Riverside County east of Los Angeles, where ICU beds are 90% full and nurses are sounding the alarm.
They give us one N95 mask per shift.
What happens if you see a COVID patient and then go in to see another patient without COVID? Same mask?
Same mask.
Angel Moreno says staffing and equipment shortages are still happening months after the pandemic began. Are you afraid you're going to get sick?
Yeah, of course, absolutely, on a daily basis.
Meanwhile, in New York today, the city postponed indoor dining indefinitely, and the governor lashed out at the president.
He denied the reality of this situation from day one. Well, you know what, Mr. President? Reality wins.
The latest reality check, a cluster of cases in New York's Rockland County. 8 people at a large party infected, not cooperating with health investigators. Now the county has subpoenaed them.
I will not allow to have the health of our county compromised because of ignorance.
And there's potentially good news on the vaccine front. 2 companies, Pfizer and BioNTech, say clinical trials are showing positive results, but no timeline on how soon a vaccine could be ready. And it can't come soon enough for Americans who are being asked to hunker down again. Carter Evans, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Well, Montana's numbers continue to climb as well, although fortunately not as rapidly as in many other places. Montana crossed the 1,000 mark, reporting 50 new confirmed COVID-19 cases today, including 15 cases here in Yellowstone County. Those numbers are growing as well, including in Bighorn County, which confirms another 6 cases just late this afternoon. State's total confirmed cases at 1,050 now. So far, 93,000 tests have been performed. Our neighbors to the south in Wyoming are also seeing a spike in coronavirus cases. 19 new cases reported today, bringing the total probable positives in the Cowboy State to more than 1,500 since the pandemic began. At a news conference this afternoon, Governor Mark Gordon said he'd been on the verge of rescinding health orders before numbers went up. He and the state's top doctor urged people to keep their distance and mask up.
As this outbreak goes on, we'll continue to monitor the data and monitor the outbreak metrics. And if we're not seeing face covering use, and we believe that that is contributing to transmission, we will consider all options.
I was sitting there thinking about the old sign that said no shirt, no shoes. Now maybe ought to include no mask, no service.
Well, Gordon says he's hopeful large events like the Cody Stampede will go off without a hitch and is asking everyone to use good judgment. Our Casey Conlon is in Cody today. He'll have more on the big rodeo coming up in sports. Also today, Teton County near the south entrance to Yellowstone is asking to impose an order to require people to wear masks indoors. Yesterday, Montana Governor Steve Bullock spoke with Q2, and even though the mask debate has turned political for some, he wants Montanans to realize that wearing one can help save the lives of loved ones.
We as Montanans, we like our freedom, we like our liberties, and we can maintain those freedoms and liberties, but recognize that the mask that you wear might be protecting literally your mother or your grandmother. And it's a small step to take.
Well, another staple Billings event has fallen victim to COVID-19 related closures. The downtown Yellowstone Valley Farmers Market will not go on until group gathering restrictions are relaxed. Q2's Mitch Legge has more on that.
This weekend would have been the first of the summer. The the Yellowstone Valley Farmers Market would have taken up 4 blocks of downtown Billings. 2020 marks the first time in 34 years that the city has been left without the popular summer event.
And the board deliberated on it long and hard. The board is all also members of the market. We all have booths at the market and sell product at the market, and it's going to affect us also, and we did not make this decision lightly.
After conversations with local health officials, the farmers market board found that the would-be restrictions were too stringent to operate under. There would have been 1 entrance and 1 exit, forcing people to walk long distances to their cars. Social distancing would have been enforced at all 60 booths, and on top of that, no one would have been able to touch or smell their produce before buying.
Some of that stuff is just very hard for us to visualize doing to our customer base, who is used to being able to visit at the table and look at the stuff and pick up things and pick out what they want.
Until group gathering restrictions are relaxed, it looks like downtown Billings will be empty of produce this summer. But there is a way to help local vendors who no longer have a place to sell. Gabert said some have found other places around town to sell their products in the meantime. Keep an eye on the Yellowstone Valley Farmers Market's Facebook page and its website for information about vendor locations.
We have to find a different way to support our local people. And that's what I'm hoping the public will do. It's going to be tough for everybody because it's going to be a big adjustment for all of us.
In Billings, Mitch Laggy, MTN News.
Thanks, Mitch. Some smaller farmers markets have popped up in Billings, offering another way for shoppers to support local businesses. Tonight, Evergreen Ace Hardware hosted its first farmers market with a handful of vendors selling meat, produce, and other goodies. Smaller operations like this one have an easier time following group gathering restrictions. Billings police are searching for a suspect in an overnight shooting that happened atop the Billings Rims. According to a tweet from the Billings Police Department, a juvenile girl arrived at the hospital with a non-life-threatening gunshot wound just after 1 o'clock this morning. Police say a gun was fired during an argument between 2 groups. Billings Police Lieutenant Brandon Woolley tells Q2 that he doesn't think the shooting was random and the victim and the shooting had some sort of a prior association. No suspects have been taken into custody as of our last check. And the suspect shot by a Yellowstone County deputy on Monday is now identified and behind bars as law enforcement officers were attempting to recover a reported stolen vehicle on the West End. 32-year-old David Fasthorse allegedly rammed a police car, then drove at Deputy Brandon Smart, who was outside of his vehicle. That's when Smart shot at the stolen car. Fasthorse, who was struck by a bullet, and his female passenger then led police into the soccer fields of Amen Park before crashing into a ditch. Fasthorse is now being held in the Yellowstone County Detention Facility on an unrelated incident. All right, turning to Chief Forecaster Bob McGuire. And Bob, fireworks and the 4th of July just 3 days away. Is the weather going to cooperate?
It depends on where you're going. We've picked 3 different places, and let me show you what we're going to see. When it comes to Billings, well, that's not a bad place to be this time of year. But you know what? We might even see some rain showers. At 6 p.m., it's going to be 87 degrees that day. At 8 p.m., it'll be 80, and then by 10 p.m., it'll be 72 degrees. But look at that. We have a 30% chance for rain showers each day. Over to Red Lodge, it'll be 77 early on by 6 p.m., 71 at 8 p.m., and 66 degrees by 10 p.m. Also a 30% chance for showers. But over at Yellowstone Park, it'll be 69 degrees at 6 p.m., 63 at 8 p.m., and 57 degrees at 10 p.m. Look for partly cloudy skies throughout much of the day on Saturday over in Yellowstone Park. So it looks like, depends on where you're at, depends on what you're going to see. We'll have the rest of your forecast in a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Bob. COVID-19 has put a damper on many Independence Day events all across the state and country, but here in Billings, organizers are promising bigger and better things this year. For the last 19 summers, Harvest Church held the fireworks show at Castle Rock Park there in the Billings Heights. This year, the display moves to the upper parking lot of Metro Park, and because of that, fireworks mortars can legally go from 5 inches to 8 inches in diameter, so they'll be bigger. The display will also expand to 35 minutes this year. It'll begin at dark around 10:15. Loudspeakers will pump choreographed music to the lower Metro parking lot and nearby business lots. There's no parking in the upper lot, but the lower Metro Park lot will be free, as well as surrounding businesses. Or if you can find another vantage point, the music will also be broadcast on KURL radio. That's 93.3 FM. And you might be thinking about going up on the rims, but the rims will be shut down this weekend for safety, so keep that in mind. The Billings Public Library reopened its doors this morning. For the last 3 months, the library has been operating as a daycare facility, but it's now moving into its new normal. Assistant Director Hannah Stewart Freeman tells Q2 the new protocol for the reopening of the library includes a park and pickup style delivery where patrons can call in for the items in advance. Those items will be delivered to the vehicle. The use of tech labs, public computers, and seating areas will also be closed until a later stage in the reopening plan. Lastly, the library will be limited to 150 people, which is 25% of the library's capacity. And while the library will not be operating as it normally would, Freeman says there are some interactive virtual events starting now and in the coming months.
We won't be doing physical programming until October 1st, at least. What we do have, though, is we've got a whole range of digital programs. Story times are still going on, of course. We've got video series to keep everybody entertained and possibly even occupied at home. So there's a fiber series if you want to learn how to knit. There's a gardening series if you're interested in gardening. Local history. And there is also a fandom series. So if you're into cosplay or, dressing up, costumes, anything, Doctor Who, Supernatural, Miss Barber's covering a lot. So it's pretty neat. And again, all those videos can be found through our website or on our YouTube channel.
Freeman says that one thing that they're most excited about is the fact that their volunteers can come back and help. And for more information, you can visit KTVQ.com. Well, Billings Barber shop, or Billings Barber, who started a shop in downtown Billings in 1960, finished his career yesterday in the same building as Nailissimo Spa Salon. Q2's David J. talked with Dave Webinger, who is 80 years old and worked as a barber for 60 years.
Bob Nance was my second to last haircut, and I'd done him since 1970. Then my last haircut was Chuck Gannan, and I'd done him as my first in 1960. So he opened and closed it off yesterday, and then we went to lunch. When we got done here, all my kids and grandkids come over and surprised me, so it was a good day.
Dave Webinger retired on Tuesday after working as a barber for 60 years. Webinger liked the smells and sounds of barbershops before he graduated from Billings Central Catholic High School.
I graduated from high school, went right to Marine Corps boot camp. Used to go in the barbershop and talk to this guy, and when I got home, I just knew that's what I was going to do. Grant Gannan lived across the street, Chuck's dad, and he was my godfather. He came over one day and he says, "We're going to the bank and borrow you money to go to school." That's how it all started. People. Yeah, you love people. You get very close to them. They'll tell a barber anything.
His customers could also learn about him from his pictures.
That golf picture of Joe Tomes, myself, and Fraser McDonald, Woody Hahn, we were the golf association. I worked with them for 20 years. Picture of my grandfather there. He just finished the cornerstone at St. Patrick's Church. There's my 5 kids, their graduation from high school. We lost our son Jason last November, but we got through it.
Webinger is ready for life away from the barbershop.
I'm going to get back to walking more. I used to walk a lot and then practice golf. Love of my life's golf. My wife's been with me 60 years. I've been blessed. I'm grateful. That's what we got to do, is be grateful.
In Billings, David J., MTN News.
Well, Dave Webinger's passion for golf led to his induction into the Montana State Golf Association Hall of Fame in 1999. Still to come on tonight's Q2 10 o'clock news. Good news, hard to come by for many right now, but for Molson Coors barley harvesters, the future is bright. We'll explain in tonight's Montana Ag Report. And in sports, Christmas in July, Casey is at the new look Cody Stampede, where Cowboy Christmas officially fires up tonight.
You're watching MTN News with Janelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Breen. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.